Still going strongly in the closing minutes. Great one by Kevin McAllister! What a goal that is! Delivery's good, there's Hagen. Now McGrillen, he scored!
It's Stokes on a hat-trick! Goal number 3 for Anthony Stokes!
Ralston saw off Robertson and delivered! Sybil scores! That's the goal! That's the moment! Samuel off and running again. Is it going to be the hat-trick? You know it is.
This is Falkirk Daft.
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Welcome to Falkirk Daft. We ended with a song last week. We're starting with it this week. 6 against Wick. I'm John McIntosh, and as ever, I am joined by my compatriot, Mr. Ross Wayne.
Hello, good evening, sir. How are we?
Bit of salt and pepper to start off with, Ross. You know, a classic from the 90s.
I missed your singing voice the last week.
It's beautiful.
So.
It's beautiful, honestly. You should see me at the welly on a Saturday night. Listen, great to be back to winning ways. Nice little distraction from the league. You know, you don't feel that pressure and that constant, fear. Because it was the Scottish Cup at the weekend, and of course we're going to be getting into the game a bit later on. I didn't make the long, arduous 5-hour journey to Wick, but many a soul did. 800 bairns at the game, Ross. Really impressive.
Absolutely fantastic. And I know we say this all the time, and we are biased, but what a support.
Aye.
And considering all the shit we've went through, it's amazing. And I know Wick would have been a few people's sort of first time up there, or a lot of people's first time up there. That's a hell of a long way to go, though. 6 Thursday. So, fair play.
So well done to every single one of you bairns that managed up there. Have you heard any stories from Wick? Any major casualties from the trip?
I don't know if there's been too... Well, there probably was a few casualties. They've just hidden the stories in the carnage well. I did see a tweet from a well-known Bairns fan, James Bankier, Big Jamesy, who mentioned that he left the game at 0-0. He went all that way and missed all the goals. So that's pretty special. But do you know what? It's the day out, and I know it is about the football, but it's also about the trip with the boys, and that brilliant day out, brilliant. I
know, some trip up there, obviously. A lot of people making a weekend of it, and all reports seemed like it was a good wee day out to win.
Yeah, so. Jealous that I missed it due to one of my daughters.
You're not going to get a sign. I mean, the thing is, it's a young team's game. That the sign off for a wee away trip, because you'd want to go and do it. You'd want to go up on the Friday.
You want to do it properly. Aye, of course you would.
Or at least go up on the Saturday and then have the Saturday night in Wick and then drive back the Sunday.
Yeah.
One of these days we'll get a wee away trip like that, Ross. Honestly, we'll get in the diary. But well done to every single one of the 800 that head up to Wick. Brilliant support, as ever, like Ross said. We'll get into the game just in a bit. Bits of business to do from us. We're going to get into the monthly Falkirk Supporters Society draw in just a minute. But first of all, Ross, I need to put a shout out to Ollie Martin. Ollie is going to be the mascot against Airdrie this Saturday. We're obviously going to be talking about that game later on with the guys from Only the Lonely podcast. But Ollie's dad, Stevie, got in touch. Fine footballer himself. And Ollie is going to be the mascot. He said, can we give him a shout out, because he listens to the podcast. And he's looking forward to being the mascot. Hopefully bring us some luck this Saturday.
Well, that would be nice. We've not got a great record against Airdrie. It brings back, you mentioned it, mascot versus Airdrie, it brings back horrible memories, because my two girls were the mascots against Airdrie. It was the COVID season, so 2019-20, and we got absolutely pumped, like 4-0 or 4-1 or something like that at the stadium, so it was awful. Great to see kids getting involved like that, though, and I know I've sung the club's praises with the mascot situation before, but it is brilliant, because you don't pay for it at Falkirk. Falkirk don't charge you, and if anything, they give the kid loads of stuff, a strip and a goodie bag and all that jazz. See a lot of the clubs, they'll charge like 100, 150, 200 pounds for a mascot, and sometimes,
is that right?
Honestly, mate, it's so brutal, and a lot of these companies, a lot of these clubs should know better. And I know people will pay it, but Falkirk do it the right way. They don't charge, which means every single fan potentially could do it regardless of whether they've got a wealthy family or a not wealthy family or whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter about backgrounds. You can be a mascot at Falkirk, which is brilliant.
Asking for a friend, is there an age restriction on being a mascot?
An age restriction?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. You've just that would be brilliant though.
Have you ever been a mascot yourself?
Years ago, like.
Oh, were you? Genuinely. I've never been a mascot, so I'd like the idea of walking out hand in hand with Cole Donaldson.
That would be absolutely brilliant.
42-year-old John is a mascot. We would like that.
Maybe we should ask the question.
More adult mascots. I mean, the kids are fine. It's they're 4 or 5. They're not going to remember that. I want to get led out by Cole Stephen McGinn hand in hand to the centre circle and shake with hands with the referee.
John, I need to try and make this happen now.
No, it's not. No. Don't try to make that happen. So yeah, back to the point. Shout out to Ollie, who's going to be the mascot. We'll wave to him on Saturday when he's out there on the pitch. Stevie Gibson's been in touch. Ross from the Falkirk Foundation football fans and training team. Another victory for the boys against Monster München. I don't know what a team name that is.
München, that's brilliant.
Yeah. So they're now up to 6 in the table. That's out of 12. 10 points from 7 games. The boys are on a roll, and the next game is against Edinburgh Giants on the 8th of January. So well done to Stevie and the boys doing it for Falkirk in the Football Fans and Training League.
Good, amazing. No, that's really good.
Yeah, I'd love to be involved.
That's a great name for a
Monster München.
Yeah, I like that.
There we go. Right, okay, well, we get to the Falkirk Supporters Society draw for this month. Now, if you don't know about this, on Falkirk Daft, every month we do a draw for the Falkirk Supporters Society. If you sign up to be a member of the Falkirk Supporters Society, get in the draw. How many members are we at now, Ross? Over 600?
According to the information that we just got from the Supporters Society today, the official number is 610.
610, right? So this is how we're going to do it. We've got a random number generator in front of us. So I am going to type in. You should be able to see it. If you're watching the video version, you'll be able to see my screen right now. And we are saying there's 610 here. Okay. Right. So, Ross, what will the first prize be?
So we'll start in reverse order. So so the first prize up for grabs today is a signed captain's armband. And that has been donated by Dave McInally and the Crunchy Initiative.
Very good. Thank you very much to my brother David, currently out at the World Cup, loving life, filming stuff out there. We should actually have got him on to talk about that. Right, okay, Ross, tell me when to stop.
Stop.
572, winning the captain's armband, signed thanks to the Crunchy Initiative and David McInally. 572, who is that?
We have Falkirk Supporters Society member Christopher Walker.
Well done, Christopher. The captain's armband will be on the way to you. Okay, what's the next prize, Ross?
The next prize is as smooth as ever here, Ross.
By the way, if you are watching the video version, it's popped up again. Meet girls from Ukraine. I don't know whose laptop this is. It's certainly not mine.
Listen, John, I'm sure these things go by your recent search history. So
beautiful Ukrainian girl singles with traditional and family values seeking. Right, okay. Well, what's the next prize? Sorry, Ross. Slightly distracted.
And this is the last ever one of these, by the way. So again, It was donated by Dave and the Crunchy Initiative.
Thank you, David.
Last ever Kevin McAllister signed programs.
Oh, yeah.
One of those. And there's also the last ever prints of the Holy Trinity. So we've got Russell Latipi, Simon Stainrod, and Kevin McAllister.
They look smashed on your wall. I've got all 3 of them up in my bathroom wall because my wife won't let me put them anywhere else in the house. Right, okay. I will start the number generator. Tell me when to stop, Ross.
And stop.
79. Who's
79 is we have a JB Probka. JB Probka. I don't have a first name. I think, is it Jeanette, maybe? Jeanette Probka is number.
There we go. Fantastic. Congratulations to you. That is the signed Crunchy programme and the prints of the Holy Trinity. Okay, next prize, Ross.
We have, some say it's the best one, John. It's the bucket of beer, courtesy
the Falkirk Daft bucket of beer. There you go.
And that'll be at a home game of their choice in the Kevin McAllister Brockville Bar. And you just need to get in touch. Same with all the prizes, you just need to get in touch with the Supporter Society as to when you want to get that. So the bucket of beer is the next prize, John, if you want.
Okay, the numbers are generating. Tell me when to stop.
And stop.
160.
160. That is an Elaine O'Donnell.
Elaine O'Donnell, bucket of beers for your good self in the stand. We'll see you there and we'll take a few off you, Elaine. No, we can't do that. We sponsor it. We can't do that. Right. Okay. And the final prize, this is the big one.
Yes, this is the big one. So this is boardroom hospitality for 2, donated by Falkirk Football Club Board of Directors.
Right, fantastic. That's a great prize. Get the whole boardroom tour, get all the banter from the guys in the boardroom. Let's start the number generator. You tell me when to stop, Ross.
Okay, and stop.
381.
381. We have Falkirk Supporter Society member Alan Peacock.
Well done, Alan. Off to the boardroom for some hospitality. Congratulations to you. Smashing. We will have another draw next month. Just sign up for the Falkirk Supporter Society. We're always going on about it in the show. But, you know, if we want to make this 3-stool ownership model work, it's really important that we do our part as supporters. You know, I'm not going to get into a board director statement on this, but if you can afford it and get involved, you know, it's always that, it's a cup of coffee, it's a, I mean, the cup of coffee you get from these machines these days is rotten anyway, so you might as well put it in the Falkirk, you know what I mean? Exactly. So I get involved if you can, then you can get in the draw next month. I'd love to have you in that. I think they're putting £7,000 a month into the club, or over £7,000 into the month.
Just over now. Just over now. And so of the winners, the Support Society committee will be in touch with the winners by email in the coming days.
Lucky you if you won a prize there and get in the draw for next month. Right, okay, talking about boards, we'll get into, there's not much news, but we need to talk about the statement that was released by the board update, which was released last week. Few people, there's a couple of things out this. Now, I don't realise, apparently this goes out to the mailing list. Anyone that's ever bought a ticket for Falkirk, this goes out in the mailing list. So my mate has bought a ticket once, he's a Celtic supporter, he got it. Dunfermline supporters have got it. Supporters of away games, away fans are getting it, because they're all on the mailing list. Now, there's been a little bit about that as well, because I've seen on the actual website there was a lot of Dunfermline supporters replying to that. In fact, one of my mates is a Dunfermline supporter, reached out going, "What the hell am I getting this for?" You know why they're doing it. I guess it's a mass marketing thing. That's why.
Yeah, it's. I think it's fine. It's obviously when the club obviously sell tickets or whatever the case, people obviously give their email address as they do now, because most of the tickets are online, or all of them are almost online. And you need to sign out or subscribe or unsubscribe to that. So listen, see, I know, I think I might have said this last week. See if we ruin one Dunfermline fan's day by getting this email, I am all for it, buddy. So yeah. Do you know, I thought the email, the bulk of the board update was absolutely fine. In fact, I'm just going to say it. I thought it was all fine. I couldn't give a monkey's if I've offended like a Dunfermline fan or we've annoyed them. That's why we're here, to annoy them. So see if they disagree with the point, the paragraph I think that we're talking about where they came to defend. Well, they did. they were very negative that day. So we've not said anything, it didn't happen. I can understand people saying, "Oh, we've poked the bear and they're 7 points clear, so why do that?" But it's all football banter, isn't it?
Right, well, that's the bit of the paragraph. I mean, for me, if I was John McGuinn, the manager, I would not be happy with the fact. So now, no doubt we all agree that performance so far has been a significant improvement last season. It's a testament to our style of play that our two coastal rivals at the top of the league have recently played so defensively at the Falkirk Stadium. That said, the best footballing side doesn't always win matches, and the result against Dunfermline was a disappointment to everyone, right? That's the bit I just have an issue with, because for me, if I'm James McPake, coming into that game in the new year, that's what goes up on the dressing room wall and say, "Look what they're saying about you." And then they, I don't think it's.
But they were defensive, John. You can't
listen. There's no denying they were defensive, yeah. But it's just ammunition that we don't need to be given that lot.
Well, maybe, but do you know, I don't think they've written it to annoy anybody. It was true, right? Edinburgh were the same. The only difference between the Edinburgh and Dunfermline games, other than the fact we won, which is stating obvious, is we obviously reacted to that style differently. I genuinely think we didn't think Dunfermline were going to come and sit in, and I'm not excusing anything, but we've obviously then worked on that between the Dunfermline and Edinburgh game at kind of breaking down our defensive team, and it's worked. So yeah, do you know, I get your point, buddy. I just think, do you know, I thought it was a good update. And if we've annoyed them, we've annoyed them.
The other thing, it worries me slightly is the postponement of the AGM, which has been put back into early in New Year's, just for they're putting the final elements of additional funding pack. I mean, from the outside looking in, that could be slightly worrying. I mean, but in fairness to the board, which they've been very good with their communication, been quite transparent, they have put a reason for that. But it is a slight worry that the AGM has been put back.
Well, they're obviously just trying to make sure they've got the money before they can give a fuller update, which I would rather they did. As a shareholder, I'd rather we knew the full kind of proper picture, because if they were to say they were to do the AGM before funds were fully in place, like they've talked about this 400 grand deficit, they're going to ask, people are then going to ask questions, they're not going to have the answer to it. I would, as a shareholder, I'd far rather know the answers. They would know the answers to all the questions that the fans are going to have. So if it means that the AGM's at the start of January rather than the start of December, then kind of so be it. But I just, like you, I hope though that the funds are going to be in place. That is the worry, because obviously that's what everybody's been working towards and pushing towards. It's great that we've heard for the club that tickets, obviously the attendances are up, people are buying stuff for the shop, hospitality's up, sponsorships up, all that's great, and it is. But has it filled the gap? And if it's not, what's the difference? And hopefully that gets filled. But that's what we're all desperate to find out at the AGM.
Yeah, of course. On that, if you are a shareholder and you want to receive the accounts, message Gordon Wright, drop him an email, gordonw@falkirkfc.co.uk, gordon@falkirkfc.co.uk. Gordon also happy to receive any queries or offer support to the club in any other way as well.
Do you know, John, see that last sentence you've said there, though? What they're essentially saying there is, see if you want to buy shares, contact the club, because the club aren't allowed to come out and say we've got shares for sale. They're not allowed to do it. So what they're essentially saying with that, and we can, because we're nothing to do with the club, but we can say it now, and hopefully others hear it and see it. But if anybody wants to buy shares and they don't want to go through the support society and they want to just go straight to the club and have them in their own name, they can. They just need to contact the club. Unfortunately, the club aren't allowed to just say, we've got shares for sale, come and buy them. But if anybody wants to do it, that's all they need to do.
Yeah, interesting. But we'll wait to see what happens at the AGM later in the year. Just another quick bit. It is Falkirk related, but today it was announced that professional footballers in Scotland are going to be banned from heading the ball in training the day before the game and the day after the game. Do you think we're going to go to a point where heading is almost banned from the game? Because, you know, obviously we know more about brain disease, and at Glasgow University you're 3.5 times more likely to die from brain disease, like as a former footballer. You know, and this is obviously linked to repetitive heading of the ball. I'm guessing centre halves and centre forwards will have more chance of that. But do you think we're going to get to a point where heading might be banned from the game?
Potentially, that's maybe where it's going to go, which would be sad to see. But I get it, because obviously you are hearing a lot more stories now about footballers, young and old, kind of developing brain difficulties. So I can understand it from the medical side. It would be disappointing because it's a huge part of the game, both defensively and offensively. Because can you imagine never ever scoring another, like granted you could score on a volley or a half volley or something, but can you imagine never scoring for a corner again?
Some of the most important goals Falkirk have ever scored have been, I'm just thinking headers. I'm thinking Sibbald in the semi-finals. I'm thinking great Falkirk headers. Kevin James to the equaliser against Celtic in the semi-final.
Tam Scobie's, that was maybe a shoulder.
Tammy Scobie's shoulder. Peter Grant's header in the cup final as well. There's a great question for Arnie. What's the best Falkirk header? There you go.
That's a good question, actually. That is, oh God, yeah. Oh, there'd be hundreds.
Bryce's diving header against who was it who played and he scored the diving header? Absolutely brilliant. Oh, big Lawals this season as well. What a header.
Oh, Lawals one. Yeah. See, when you're talking Bryce, you're not talking about the OG, are you? Because remember he scored the diving header OG against Aberdeen.
That was right. I'm talking about that. No, I'm sure he scored a diving header. Anyway, but
I've just thought of a workaround. Do you know what they could start doing? See if they banned heading.
Right.
You just make the footballers lighter, as in the football's lighter. Get the flyaways. Remember the old...
That would change the game entirely.
A game at Arbroath would just, they would go through 100 balls every game.
Brilliant. That's a great suggestion, Ross. We'll put that towards the SFA, I think. Brilliant. But just an interesting point that obviously that's just been announced today, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. While we get into the football and talk about 6 goals, I'm looking forward to this. So every week in Falkirk Daft, we get a guest pundit on. This is no stranger to Falkirk Daft because he was on last week. He's a Wick supporter. He's a Falkirk supporter. Please welcome to the podcast. It's Neil McIntosh.
How you doing, sir? Are you okay?
Yeah, not bad. How's it going?
Good. You're happy after Saturday?
He was going to be happy either way, Ross. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's true.
How was Saturday for you? How did you go out with the Falkirk supporters, Neil? What was the biggest casualty you saw in Wick at the weekend?
So I was out for a few pints before the game, and I think I bumped into, I think it was a lot of guys off the Elliott's bus. So I had a few pints for them, got a picture taken. It was one of your previous guests was there as well.
Oh,
Nice.
What one? Brian?
My brain's gone blank. I want to say Scott, but I think I've got the wrong name.
Scott Steele.
Yeah, he's the one that played the guitar.
Yeah, he's
Yes.
Scottish. Yes.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Yeah.
Did he have the guitar up with him on the bus?
No, but I could have asked the guy that owns the pub we were in, the landlord, he likes a wee bit of guitar, so he could have given him one from behind the bar.
So it was a good day out, good night out before and after then?
Yeah, it was good, yeah. I had a brilliant time. Just nice to rub shoulders with a few Falkirk diehards and get a bit of the atmosphere. It was a really good day.
Fantastic. Well, let's get into the match then. Obviously, Wick supporter, Falkirk supporter. I mean, Wick 0, Falkirk 6, Burrow, Oliver with 2, McGuffey, Donaldson, and Brad Mackay all on the sheet with it. Team slightly changed from last week. Williamson was ruled out. His wife's currently pregnant and he didn't want to be too far away just in case she gave birth.
Was that the backstory, John? Was
that? Yeah. That's what. Yeah. So Ryan Williamson's wife's pregnant, so he didn't want to be away 5 hours away because I think she's.
I don't want to start a rumour, but Allegri and Morrison were missing. That wasn't my idea. They were at the squad as well, was it?
One had the man flu, according to John McGlynn, and Morrison had sickness and diarrhea the night before. That's why he was there. And the biggest shock, right? That's fine, they've all been ruled out. Aidan Nesbitt was dropped to the bench. What's going on?
Scary time.
I think maybe just getting a rest.
I'm guessing so. But that brought Cole back into the team after he was ruled out last week. Stephen Henrington came in for a start. McGuffey was back in, and so was Kai Kennedy as well. That's what the changes that Falkirk made this week. Let's talk. Get straight into the game. That pitch, Neil, Glad that was a level, and I believe the wind was as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the condition of the pitch was a bit bobbling. Things definitely a lot more bobbly than playing on an artificial surface. So I think they did find it quite challenging. One of the guys I was speaking to from Wick, he was saying he heard one of the Falkirk players when he came off at halftime saying, "Oof, what a hill." I definitely think it had an impact on them.
Well, you gave the warning, Neil, to fair, you gave the warning in the podcast last week that there's the 9-foot deficit between the top end and the bottom end.
Yeah, I think John McGlynn must have listened to me because he started playing up the way and then played down the way in the second half, and there was a dramatic difference.
Yeah, the wind made a difference in that second half as well, seemingly. I mean, I was actually, when you saw that pitch, you saw the conditions, Ross. I was very surprised that Ola started. I don't don't know if it was a game that would just suited his kind of style of play.
Yeah, I did wonder because do you know the pros and cons are he's a guy who he's got a bit of trickery and he might have been able to open up the defence or two, but yeah, the pitch looked really, really heavy. The pictures that were coming through, obviously I was a Falkirk TV viewer on Saturday due to my daughter's party, but it did look heavy. It really, really did. And you're right, I think it probably, and that's maybe another reason. Maybe Nesbitt was dropped for that reason as well, because he's a sprayer of a pass, and it was never going to be a cute game, you know.
No, I don't think it was. I mean, as a Wick stroke Falkirk supporter, Neil, what did you make of the first half until the breakthrough? What did you think it could go either way, or did you think that Falkirk looked like they were always going to win it?
The first half was a lot closer than the second half. You could see that Falkirk were taking a bit of time to adjust to the pitch. The Wick boys still had a lot in the tank and were really getting stuck in. There wasn't a lot of chances from both sides, although Falkirk should have been 1-0 up really quickly. I don't know how they managed to put that past the post.
Was that the Stephen McGinn one?
Yeah, from the rebound from the free kick.
Yeah, I don't know how he missed that.
But apart from that, before the goal, there wasn't much between the teams at all, really. Wick had a half chance in the first half as well. I thought they were just a wee bit unlucky to go in 1-0 down at half time, but I didn't make too much of the first half from both teams, really. They were both kind of struggling with the pitch and the weather conditions, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, I was shiting it till we got the breakthrough just before half time. Because I kept looking at the updates, you know, I was like out and about, I was like, come on, Falkirk, what's going on? And then we get the goal with the breakthrough with Burrell. I have to say, all the goals in that game were all pretty bloody scrappy. They were all pretty, you know, we've been scoring some absolute worldies recently, you know, Cal Morrison, you know, Ryan Williamson, and all the goals were just like really, really, really scrappy on Saturday. But obviously, Ross, the breakthrough comes at the right time, just before half time.
Yeah, it did, and we needed it as well. It was a tough watch, and I must admit, I was a wee bit nervous because you know what these games can be like. The longer it goes on, you start to panic. Like you could almost, like obviously, Neil, you would have felt it there, but I don't think the fans would have wanted to go in at 0-0 at half time. Granted, shooting down the slope, obviously, in the second half would have kind of given that bit of confidence that you're be able to kind of pummel them a bit. But it was a worry when it was that late on.
Yeah. Neil, was the second goal over the line?
It was difficult to see from where I was. I'd love to see the goal.
What your mate's saying to it?
Oh, they're saying it was obviously Miles. It wasn't across the line, definitely, and they were saying it definitely wasn't a penalty later on as well. So
that was my next question.
That was a pain.
It did look like first penalty Falkirk have had this season, Ross. That's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. And Morrison wasn't there to take it either, which he'll be raging about, won't he? Because obviously him being the pen. But do you know, there's probably been a fair few chances where we should have had a pen this year. So hopefully it's the start of a tide turning. But because we are due a few. Because that's just bonkers that we've only had one given in 2 games that we've played.
The question is who takes him now as well, because he scored that one. So
he did. He put it away. He put it away well, didn't he? So you would assume it probably will go back to Morrison, but I never ever thought Morrison was that great at penalties because he just seemed to hit it hard and hope for the best.
Yeah, I mean there was Gary Oliver, obviously getting 2. So I mean, came off the bench and obviously he's done really well there. Again, just the goals were just the McGuffey's as well was just really scrappy as well. You know, it was just like it was just the goals were just like
I think that one had flown straight in, it would have been an absolute belter. But obviously, it was saved and then hit off somebody and then in, wasn't it?
Aye,
it was a bit of ping pong.
Yeah.
Aye, so it was like right. So I mean. So yeah, I mean, did you? I guess when it went to 2-0, maybe 3-0, Neil, were you starting to fear a bit for Wick?
Yeah, just every time Falkirk were going up the park, you were thinking what's coming next, especially with set pieces. If you just looked at the Falkirk team compared to the Wick team in terms of height, but also size as well, there was a dramatic difference there.
I mean, Oliver's second one, I mean, it was basically on the line when he tapped it in, you know. I guess defensively, Wick were a bit out of sorts with, I guess, most of the goals. And like you say, at set plays, we seem to cause caused the guys problems. But do you think that the team just kind of ran out of steam after that first half, Neil?
I think so, yeah. And the depth in the bench wasn't there as well. When they had to make the subs, some of the guys that were coming off were some of the better players, but they put their heart and soul into it and didn't have anything left to give. And the guys coming on just weren't at the same level either. So I think that helped things slip back a little bit for them and let Falkirk just get a few more goals in there.
Great to see Cole Donaldson getting a goal. I'm a big fan of Cole. Who are you going to call for goals now, Ross? Not just defensive problems. Who are you going to call?
It's called Donaldson, you have to.
Call Donaldson, absolutely. Good to see the big man, and I like to see it again. You know, I'm a big fan of the centre halves hitting free kicks, and good to see he had one in the first half as well, which the keeper saved.
What was the celebration all about? He was doing like this weird bird thing.
Was it? I thought he was kind of mimicking almost like the Jack Grealish kind of thing.
Or was he? Was that what he was doing?
I don't know if that was it, because obviously Jack Grealish did that for that wee boy with cerebral palsy. So I thought it was almost like that, but then maybe it is just Colby's being a big bird. He was
maybe mimicking before the game started. The mascot for Wick is Nori the Scory, and Scory's a seagull. So I don't know if he was maybe taking the Mickey out.
Maybe it was. And then Brad Mackay. Again, it was again another scrappy one. He kind of heads it, he gets the rebound in the back of the net then again. So another goal for Brad Mackay, and it's good to see. I mean, Brad Mackay is always a threat, and he seems to be a threat from set pieces, Ross. Anytime that I've seen him at corners, he's always getting on the end of them. He seems to be.
He's a big fella. He's a big fella. He's good presence in the box. So it's good to have. He's obviously got different qualities to the other right backs that we've got. He's not a right back, but he's obviously been getting played there. But he's definitely a wee headache for the opposing team. He's a bit of a menace. He's tall. He's quite bulked up as well. So it might not be. What's that? He's scored 2 now so far since coming back. I think he might get another couple this season as well.
Yeah. So I mean, 6-0, was it a fair reflection on Wick, Neil, or was it? It should have been, less, or what do you think?
It's probably a fair reflection on the game as a whole. If the game was only 60 minutes, it'd be a much fairer game. But just the last half hour, they just put so much into the game trying to get a result and get that goal back from the first half as well. I think if they managed to get to half time 0-0, it could have been a little bit tighter. But just after a couple went in quickly in the second half, the heads went down, and so yeah, I'd say 6-0 would be a fair result for what we saw.
So yeah, 6-0, fair result, according to Neil. What was the atmosphere like at the game? Because we see a lot of flares, 800 Falkirk supporters up there, Neil. What was that? What was it like, and how did Wick take to it?
Oh, the atmosphere was really good. It was great. You could see that the Falkirk fans have maybe got a wee bit more practice with the flares. Theirs landed nicely just off the pitch, whereas the Wick Academy one landed right under the advertising board, and the smoke was coming into the stand. So they might get a few more practices at some of the bigger games like Brora or something like that. But no, the atmosphere was really good. I think it not being segregated creates a different kind of atmosphere at the football.
Yeah, was it not segregated? All right, was it not segregated? I didn't realise that.
No segregation at all. No, so the Falkirk fans were behind the goals for both halves, or the majority of them anyway, set up behind the goals.
Some of the videos and pictures that I was getting sent through WhatsApp and seeing on Facebook and stuff, it looked pretty messy, Neil. So there looked like it was been a good drink had been had by most pre-game.
Oh, definitely. I think $5 on a bus, unless you're teetotal, it's hard not to maybe drink a wee bit more than you normally would.
Sorry.
It was good though. It was mainly all in good favour. There was a wee bit of handbags from a really small number of people at half time, but nothing serious, nothing to ruin the game.
It was really nice. Saw that obviously the gesture made by your chairman, Neil, with the presentation, which was a really nice touch, I thought.
Yeah, they're always good like that. They enjoy having teams up, and I'm sure the guys who travelled, who were in the boardroom, will have had a good day. They look after you well in there. I've came out of there sideways a few times.
Brilliant. Listen, well, we hear what John McGuinn had to say. Let's go to the manager.
John, in the end, a case of literally hitting them for 6.
Yeah. Big leveller today to the extent with the conditions. We knew we were coming to
it was going to be a heavy pitch. We knew we were going to come to a pitch that had a big slope. But into the bargain came this very, very strong wind, and this wind is going down the slope as well. So, you know, you could say that it was going to be a game of kind of two halves. You know, we had a chat with Stephen, and we chose, if we were to win the toss, to shoot, let them have the slope and the wind, and we'll try and do the best we can, and then hopefully take advantage in the second half. And so we still felt, and we still had opportunities in the first half to add to the one that we actually got. You know, I think if it had been 3-0 up at half time, I think that would have been a more true reflection of the first half. So we dominated both halves, but of course with the wind and the slope and them knowing the conditions, you know, with regards to the pitch, it's their pitch, they're more comfortable on the pitch than probably we would be, bobbly surface, then they weren't out at it. 1-0 they weren't out at it, and you had to wait until we killed them off, and it was probably around just over the hour mark when I think we managed to get the second goal, and then absolutely no doubt the goals were just going to keep coming after that. So very comfortable in the end, very, very comfortable in the end, but we can't, even ourselves going at half time, you know, very difficult at the sidelines to understand how difficult that was to play in, the conditions to play in. So it was a little bit frustrating, but it was always going to end well, you know, and it did. Look, a massive thank you to the fans that have come here today. They seem to be all over the state, well, around the pitch. So we thank them for coming up here today and supporting the players, supporting the team, supporting the club, and you know, it's whether you've come up for this morning or whether you came up yesterday and making a weekend of it. It's brilliant that you came up here, players, backroom staff. I'm sure the directors thank each and every one of you for coming up and supporting the club. You have been amazing, and hopefully happy again, like ourselves, going back down the road in the draw for Monday night. We look forward to that and see who we get.
By the way, on McGlynn watch, that's probably the shortest answer he's ever given at 2 minutes 15, and half of that was thanking the fans.
He just wants to go home, John.
What's that?
It's freezing. He probably just wants to get.
That's probably it. He's like, shut up, Lewis. Let me get in the road. But I mean, he seemed to be not fussed. You know, I think he knew the job was done. He got out. Got the result, got out the dodge. You can't complain when you've just scored 6 goals in a tough place. So, fair enough to John, and he gets up the road for a bit of warmth as well. I'm looking at the stats, actually. I mean, 65% possession to Falkirk, 20 shots to 3, 13 shots on target to 2, 8 corners to 2. So, I mean, it's quite self-evident that, you know, the dominant side went there. And, you know, we have said for ages that we're going to give a team a doing. It was a very scrappy doing, but we certainly did do that. What did you make of what John McGlynn had to say there, Neil?
Yeah, like, I think he was fair enough. I maybe had a bit of Wick bias in my first half analysis, thinking it was closer than he thinks it was. But yeah, pretty fair in what he was saying, and I think they really did make use of the wind and the downhill in the second half, like he was saying. Yeah.
Next round then, we're Falkirk going to the next round. You would have been a happy man either way, Neil, weren't you? You were going to be happy either way, so it was a win-win situation for you on Saturday. But Falkirk obviously go into the next game. Some big shocks. I mean, obviously our league rivals, Edinburgh, going out to Drumchapel, which looked like an absolute. I saw Wick's ground and then I saw Drumchapel where they were playing. I was like, Jesus.
You know, John, I've never been to Drumchapel, but that is actually what I thought Drumchapel looked like.
So Drumchapel, Darvel, and Stirling Uni all go in the hat for the next round. Who do you want? Who do you fancy in the next round, Ross?
You're talking progression. You probably do want one of these teams.
I mean, this podcast is actually we're talking about this in this podcast. By the time this podcast goes out, we know where we're at. But exactly. So yeah, would you like one of those wee kind of away?
I think I would. Do you know who I might like? Is so you mentioned Stirling Uni there, so it's a bit of a local derby. They play at Fourth Bank.
Yeah.
Which we would take a hell of a big crowd.
Yeah, good we do it. That was trained through Stirling. Boom,
Stirling. Yeah. Few beers, we would take a huge crowd through there, so that could be kind of cool. But obviously the other teams are coming in, so the Premiership teams will be coming in this one. If I had to pick a sort of Premier team to play, I like Hearts at Tynecastle. That's always a good game, good day out through in Edinburgh as well. The club will probably want Rangers or Celtic, to be honest, because it's money in it.
We'll leave them to the semis, Ross. We'll leave them to the semis.
Semis, good shout. Good shout, John. Who would you want?
I want Stenny at home, and I want to pump them. I'm fed up of all this. I'm fed up of that wee prick on that view from a terrace. I'm fed up of his shite. So I want Stenny at home, and I want to absolutely pump them 7 or 8-0. That's what I want.
That'd be beautiful.
That would be great. Neil, any preferences?
Well, some of my best memories have been a Falkirk fan of the cup games, like that 4-0 against Hearts with Colin Samuel. When we beat Celtic, even the Hearts semi when we got beat when Crunchy scored that tremendous goal. So I'd prefer one of the Premier League teams and hopefully give them a doing.
Fair enough. I like that. Supporters that got up there, been in touch. Peter says, tremendous performance, well done to players and staff. An awkward away trip, perfectly negotiated. Hope for a decent draw in the next round. A wee run in the Scottish Cup would be lovely. Come on, you Burns.
It would indeed. YB, which I think is Young Bear, it says, was a strange game in difficult conditions. First half we toiled a bit shooting uphill, but second half we got into gear and aided by the slope and the wind. Professional performance overall.
Yeah, wee Max has been in touch as ever, played brilliant on a pitch that is more or less on a hill. I'm very happy to see Burrows score to boost his confidence. We showed that we can be really clinical away from home, and let's beat Airdrie. Yep, of course, another one for the Burrow collection, Ross.
Indeed, yes. Do you know, he couldn't really miss from the distance he was out, but they all count. Yeah,
exactly. You need the wee goal, I think.
Renbozo says, absolutely incredible. We'll be good enough for second tier football one day with performances like that.
Wido. West, a professional performance without being overly outstanding, expected in what was essentially a public park. Took the opportunity to up the confidence by scoring a few goals as they tired. Job done, and hopefully a home tie in the next round.
You never know. Cal Wilson, absolutely amazing by the boys today. Left at 7 a.m. this morning to go up to just over 6 hours on the Cheers supporters bus. One of the best away days I've had.
Oh, brilliant. Really good. Sounds like everybody had a great time up there, obviously, apart from the Wick supporters, Neil, so apologies. Right, okay. I'm going to hand this one to you boys because I didn't see it. So we'll go for Falkirk Daft rated player.
It's a tough one this week, actually. Neil, what are you thinking?
Yeah, it is a tough one because it's quite a scrappy game. I mean, to maybe go Oliver for the 2 goals. Cole Donaldson for getting a goal since he's a defender, and that free kick in the first half was a good one as well. It's a difficult one for performances, I think.
Ross?
Yeah. Do you know, Cole's a brilliant shout. He's someone I admired, but I'm going to go with Oliver for the 2 goals. He's had a bit of criticism the last few weeks for not really being involved, and I know it was Wick, and he's got to kind of show it in the league games as well. But hopefully those 2 goals set him up and he kicks on again. Okay,
then Gary Oliver, Falkirk Daft rated. Falkirk Dafty.
Neil, what do you think?
Well, McGinn had that miss in the first half, and then I thought Lowell was particularly poor, and he had that silly bit of handbags in the first half, getting his yellow card. So it'd be between the 2 of them for me.
Ross, you get to cast and vote, or you got another name for that?
I've got another name. I did tease him that I was going to go down this route. I'm going to go with the fan James Bankier, who left it 0-0. That's
you know what? Let's give it to him. Falkirk Dafty of the week is James. I mean, who would leave a game and miss a goal and go to the pub, Ross? I mean, who would do something like that?
Yeah, I may have done that myself a couple of times.
Yeah.
But, listen, fair play to him. It's a long way to go. You're out with the boys, and I'd imagine 0-0 and the cold wind, it was probably the better option, but he'll be kicking. Yeah, I know he's kicking himself to miss the 6 goals, so fair play.
There you go. Well, that's it for the Wick game. On to the next round of the Scottish Cup. Like you said, by the time you hear this, we'll know who we're playing, so we'll be talking about it on next week's podcast. Neil, thanks so much for your insight. I mean, you've been in the last 2 weeks, you've put in a shift. We should be paying you for it. Up there in Wick, doing the job. So thanks so much for coming on, giving us your insight into Wick. Really appreciate it, mate. And hopefully we'll see you down here at the Falkirk Stadium soon.
Yeah, that's no worries. It's been a great time. Hopefully see you guys down there.
Nice one. We'll definitely be buying you a pint at the bar, Neil. Thanks very much. And if you want to be like Neil, be a pundit, drop us a DM on Twitter, Facebook, or email us, falkirkdaftpod@gmail.com.
This is Falkirk Daft.
Here we go, Ross. It is the World Cup of Falkirk strips, and it's not really a World Cup because it's only involving Falkirk. It's not really a cup because there's nothing to be won, and it's got nothing really to do with the World Cup. So anyway, we started this as part of their World Cup coverage on Falkirk Daft. We're putting your nominations of favourite strips up against each other. We made the draw last week, Ross, and the results have been flying in across the week.
They have. It's actually been kind of cool. We've had hundreds of people every evening voting, so that's been kind of cool.
There's been some shocks. There's been some shocks. It's like the World Cup. Some absolute shock results in there. I'll get on to the one I'm very disappointed about in a minute. But
yes, there's been a few. There has been a few shocks, but it's been good. I've got a funny feeling. I do think I know where the final is going to get.
Right. Okay. There's a couple of favourites emerging, much like the World Cup. So we kicked off fixture one. It was the 2016-2017 white away shirt. That's the white one with the blue and red down the middle. And that was against the 1990-91 white away shirt. And it was the Beezer Holmes bad boy that ruled out. Quite tight game that, 55% to 45%. So the 90-91 white away shirt into the next round.
Indeed. Fixture number 2 then, John, was the 1982-83 home shirt, so famously worn by Crunchy in his first season, and that was up against the 1994-95 away shirt, which
there was only going to be one winner on this one. That's the yellow Beezer Holmes.
Well, I thought this would have been tighter, but there was only one winner, so 79% of the vote went to the 94 match winner gold shirt. So yeah, that was probably one of the big ones there.
Next up, I think this is the shock of the round, actually. I didn't expect this. The 85-86 home shirt, which is the blue with white pinstripes down it, Coaster's logo, white, red spall and the red badge. I thought that's a cult classic, that one. And that went up.
Would have done better.
That went up against almost a very similar, but the 97 away shirt. Now, I'm wondering if it's the nostalgia of the cup final run in that shirt played into this, because that's the square deal motors, the red with the blue pinstripe down it, Lecoq Sportif. I think that maybe played into it, because that was the winner, 61.6% to 38.4%, and that went through to the next round of the cup.
It did indeed. Fixture number 4 was and this was not tight at all either. So this was the 2007 Highlander home shirt, and that was up against the Hummel white away shirt. So it was, I think it was always going to be a fairly landslide with this one, and with nearly 82% of the vote, the Hummel white away shirt took the victory for this.
I know, I'd have fancied the Highlander top against somebody else, actually, because I think that's a cracking top, that Lotto top. I'd have fancied it against someone else, but that's got to be one of the tournament favourites, isn't it? The 91-94 the 94 away shirt, got to be one of the tournament favourites. Okay, talking of tournament favourites, the 91-94 home shirt. It was an absolute whitewash against the 98-99 home shirt, which is the John R. Weir with the red Lecoq Sportif down the sleeves. 98.8% against 11.2%. Another tournament favourite to win that in fixture 5.
Indeed. Cracking shirt though. Massive favourite amongst the Falkirk crowd, so wasn't shocked with that one. Fixture number 6 was again not that tight either, actually. This was 2016-17 home shirt, so the alternate one from the white one you mentioned, so with the white and red in the middle, and that was up against the 2015 home shirt, which was with gold writing. So yeah, it's a bit of a classic. Great season we had that year as well, with Will Volks and Luke Leahy and all these boys. So yeah, that one smashed it. So 69.9% of the vote for that one, John.
Yeah, penultimate fixture. This was the tightest game that we had in this round. It was the 1999-2000 home shirt, which is the Zara, John R. Weir. Can see a lot of players in that top. That went up against the 98-99 away shirt. John R. Weir again, red with the Lecoq Sportif red down the sleeves. And that was the home shirt that won that one. 99-2000 home shirt, 51.9% of the vote. Very tight in that one.
Yeah, it was tight. The red one's a nice one as well. We didn't wear it that often, but it was a nice away shirt, like.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, yesterday until today, we ran fixture number 8, which was the final vote of the last 16. So the 1995-96 third shirt, so the club's first ever third shirt, so that was the white with the red and navy paint splashes, up against the 2015 cup final shirt, so the white with the gold. Cracker of a shirt, obviously a massive disappointment that day. but it has taken just over 60% of the vote.
Very disappointed.
It's a sore one to lose, that one, John.
Very disappointed in that result. I mean, my favourite top is not even in the draw, so that's. I'm disappointed in that, but that was the one I was pinning my hopes on, but never mind. Right, so that means we are into the draw for the next round of the Falkirk Strip World Cup, and Ross has the tops in front of him. Let's find out who's playing who.
I do indeed. Okay, so the first one is the White Hummel, Beezer Homes.
White Hummel, Beezer Homes, landslide victory in the last round, 81.7%, beating the 2002-2008 home top. Who will they be playing?
It is playing the 1996-97 Red.
Oh, that was a shock victory in the last round. The Square Deal Motors, the 97 Cup final top. Should be a decent match, that one.
Indeed. Next one is the 2015-16 home shirt, so the navy with the gold.
Yep.
And that one is up against the 1990-91 white Spall Beezer home shirt. That's one. Okay, we have the Navy Hummel, the Hummel shirt from 1991 to 94.
That is one of the tournament favourites.
Indeed. And it's up against the 1999-2000 home shirt.
Yep. I think there's only one winner there.
Indeed. And then last but not least, and so it's the two that, so we've got the 2015-2016 white and gold away shirt.
Cup final top, yeah.
And that has to be up against, the yellow match winner.
Yellow match winner. Another tough result. People keep saying it's only going to go to the final two, and the two tournament favourites is going to be the 91-94 away shirt versus the 91-94 home shirt, if they can avoid each other in the semi-final.
Absolutely.
Right not. So there you go. Watch out for the votes appearing on the Falkirk Daft Twitter. Follow us on Falkirk Daft Twitter. You can vote on your favourite top, and we'll be back with the next round of the World Cup of Falkirk Tops next week on the podcast.
This is Falkirk Daft.
Every week on Falkirk Daft, we like to look ahead to our next game, and that game is against Airdrie at the stadium this Saturday, 3 o'clock kickoff. And from the Lonely podcast, he's been on before, he's given us jip before. It's Andrew. How you doing, pal? You all right?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for having me back on, guys. Good sports.
I know. And we're like, oh, do we have to get him back on? Because you've been definitely the widest that's been on so far. But we're just saying that before we started recording. Airdrie have had a very kind of similar stop-start season to Falkirk, where it's like you're getting a few wins on a row, and then you're having this blip. I mean, we've been having Kelty. Edinburgh seem to be your bogey team, you know. But then it was just like mental at the start of the season. Every Airdrie game there was either you're either scoring 6 or get conceding 6. And it was just it's been a bit of a kind of roller coaster for you boys this season.
It's not been dull, that's for sure.
No.
It's always been worth watching. No, it's been strange. We're more or less, I was looking at the stats and comparing them to this amount of games into last season. We're more or less keeping pace with where we were at this stage. Last season, it's just that the second half of last season we went on that ridiculous unbeaten run. So we're well placed, even though it kind of feels, it doesn't feel necessarily as strong because last season was so heavily weighted to the kind of second half of the season. You know what I mean? That so many of our points came from that unbeaten run, obviously. So it kind of skewers your perspective a wee bit when you do have the kind of stop-starty season that we've had. I mean, you guys are used to that from the last few seasons, but it's on you to us here.
Here it started already. How was the game on Saturday?
The game on Saturday.
What happened in extra time? Jesus Christ!
I don't know what you mean. We've got a replay. The replay sorted. That's what happened. I'm sure that was agreed. No, I think. I mean, it's 100% sour grapes, but I really was wishing that the replays had never been binned when we got to the red card with extra time looming. Really kind of killed us. And to be fair to Dundee, they made good changes just before the end of the match and kind of buried us in that extra time, but. Competed well for the 90 minutes, so there's something to take away from it.
Well,
It's
that's
it's always the
exactly it.
difficulty when you're playing a higher league team, innit? That fear of what's going to happen in another 30 minutes. Either we'll galvanise and keep it going, or the arse will collapse. And
Yeah.
it happens too often, doesn't it?
It's when they get one, you know, in that kind of situation, especially when you're down to 10 men and you're playing against a team with, you know, superior resources, the level above, you're thinking, right, it's extra time now, we're at an obvious disadvantage. Let's see if we can keep them out for the first period of extra time. And if you can get through that, you're always well placed, because they start to worry about getting sucker punched in the second period of extra time. But when they managed to score so quickly into extra time, it always sort of left us with a bit of a mountain to climb, and we were able to get some minutes in for some of the younger guys, the academy guys. Tony Watt's nephew came on.
I saw that.
Tony Watt's nephew is a professional footballer.
That makes you feel old, doesn't it? Jesus Christ, Tony Watt, I can still see him score that goal against Barcelona. And played for Airdrie as well, obviously.
He's still a Wayne.
I know that has made me feel really old. Tony Watt's nephew is now playing for Airdrie. Jesus, but before, I mean, but in fairness, Andrew, before that, you've almost like steadied the ship a wee bit over the last kind of league games. I mean, had a good win against Montrose, you know, and I guess after some of the results you're having, you're taking these 1-0s against Clyde and these 1-0s against Kelty. Do you know what I mean? Because it seemed to, you know, you steadied the ship a wee bit with that kind of run of results before it.
Yeah, big time. It was good, those November results that we've been able to get so far. Discounting the extra time at Dundee, and that's been at some solid results through the month. Disappointing, obviously, not to beat Peterhead at home, but you look at Dunfermline didn't do that either. It's not the end of the world, particularly having come off some games where we were having defeats in there in the run of fixtures. To be able to put that consistent 4 games unbeaten really does, like you say, it steadies things a wee bit as you go into what's going to be a pretty tasty December. We've got your good selves, we've got Dunfermline, we've got Montrose away in December, so it's going to be.
It's a big run out. That, I mean, you could do us a couple of favours as well in there. But I mean, when you look at the table, I was like, Ross is before you come. I was like, I can't wait. I'm going to get that right up, Andrew. I was like, hold your horses. Only 3 points in between Airdrie and Falkirk, which you look. I mean, from 6 upwards. I mean, there's 10 points between yourselves and Dunfermline. But again, from second, there's 3 points. You know, you've got us in 28, Edinburgh in 28, Montrose in 27, Alloa, who've really kind of come into a bit of form as well, in 26. And Queen of the South seem to have maybe turned a wee bit of a corner as well. So from 7th upwards, I mean, I think you can maybe start discounting Kelty. Maybe Clyde and Peterhead look like they're going to fight it out for the bottom 2 places, but it's all to play for these playoff spots, you know, and can Dunfermline get dragged back down into that? And I mean, it could really open up the league, especially when you're talking about the December you guys have got coming up.
John, that's the hope with Dunfermline getting pegged back. We obviously, we didn't help, obviously, losing to them a few weeks ago, but it sounds like it's tight. It's so tight when you look at the rest of the league. And Dunfermline are going to have a run at some point. They're not going to go all season. And I know you'll disagree with this, John, but they're not going to go all season shit-fest in this league because they're so poor. But they can't keep this going.
Yeah. I mean, looking at some of the numbers for some of your players, it seems to be Lewis Jameson and Callum Gallagher and Callum Smith seem to be the players doing it for you, Andrew. Is there anyone else that we should look out for on Saturday?
Well, I'm sure, given the thinness of the squad, I'm sure Charlie Telford will get a game. So I don't know if you guys are acquainted with Charles or if you have any experience. How's he been doing for you?
I always like Charlie Telford. Actually, I wish we'd kept him.
He's a tidy player, isn't he? He's tidy on the ball.
Ross is screwing his face up at that.
He had a good game at Dundee as well. He was involved in the goal. Obviously, it's been difficult for him because, barring a couple of games, he's then been the experienced man in the midfield with Frizzo being injured, who's a player obviously we're missing. He's on his way back from serious injury, but I imagine this will be a weekend too quick for him as well. So Telford's done well, but again, the midfield's just that wee bit lighter without Adam in it. There's no team in this division that wouldn't miss a player like him if they had him. Yeah, so that's been unfortunate for us. But LJ has really hit the gas recently. scoring some really, really good goals, a mix of goals as well, crucial goals for us, winner against Clyde. He was very cheeky to play a 1-2 off the goalie from the penalty. That was very, very cheeky of him. The keeper's trying to say, Neil Parry tried to say he saved it, but Jameson knew exactly what he was doing. And then he equalised against Peterhead, obviously, which was huge for us. In a game that we've all been there, one of those matches where you're throwing everything at the opposition. It just doesn't look like it's going to fall for you. You've spun chance after chance after chance, and you're going to get nothing out of the game. So to have someone who can turn it on in a match like that's been great for us. And Gallagher's he gets you goals at this level. He's stepped it up big time the last few weeks. He's been really, really good, even out with the goals. His hold-up play, his flick-ons, and his game intelligence is absolutely tremendous. He's been fantastic for us. He scored a belter against Dundee at the weekend, so he'll be hoping to add to his tally of goals on Saturday, no doubt.
We shall wait and see. So you're confident going into Saturday, Andrew?
Well, it's hard because of what you rightly pointed out. It's hard to get a gauge on Falkirk in the same way that it'll be hard for you guys to get a gauge on us, because we've both had these kind of starty seasons.
And obviously Airdrie are a total bogey team for us recently.
Yeah. But we've had that Indian sign for a wee while now. But there's been so much water under the bridge since the game right at the start of the season, the second match, and that you really don't know what's going to turn up. I imagine the starting 11s are going to be quite different from that day.
Yeah.
And you guys, despite having a start of the season, are in second. You have got, it's only the 3 points, but you have got the 3 points more, so you have done better up to this point. So it's a very tough one. I reckon there's going to be goals in it, but we've not actually, I might be mistaken here, but I'm fairly certain we've not won a game in which the opposition have scored. All their wins have been clean sheets.
Right, really?
Yeah, so if you guys get a goal, it'll be a good time to break that duck. That run's not going to last all season, but I can certainly see there being goals in this one.
Yeah, I think when Airdrie play anywhere, it seems that there's goals everywhere. I'll push in a prediction then. What are you going for, Andrew?
2-1 the Diamonds.
2-1 the Diamonds. Roscoe, what are you thinking?
I think we'll do them this time, John. I'm going 3-0 home win.
3-0 home win. Fine.
It's got to happen eventually, man. It's got to happen eventually.
I know, we'll keep saying it. Andrew, before you go, I need to ask you this. I mean, what happened to the boy, right? There was a boy that was flicking the Vickies, right, and photobombed someone like a mascot and got banned from the stadium for life or something like that. Or what is going on there?
I don't know. I think the wording in the letter was indefinite, so I think technically they could relax that at any time. I don't know that the guy will be banned for life forever. Very strange little episode.
It was a weird scenario, wasn't it?
Very strange episode.
Done something that, granted, you can do because it was a bunch of kids getting a photo taken. But how many times, especially if you've been in the pub for a few hours, it just happens, doesn't it?
I mean, a football match, the air tends to get thick with the odd comment now and again as well. Very strange episode that maybe get more coverage than you would have expected it to. Yeah. I don't know. It was just very
I just thought they've been looking for an excuse to get. He's been a right pain in the arse, this guy, and they've been looking for an excuse. Look, he's giving fingers, and there's a wee boy in the photo. Get him out.
I don't know. The guy. It's not someone I know personally, so I don't really know if he's acted out a character there or is prone to moments of daftness. I couldn't really comment. I don't know, but it was definitely a very strange little episode.
The thing is, though, there's worse that's happened at a football game. Do you know?
There's a lot worse that's happened.
I would imagine so. Yeah, I would imagine so.
Oh, but just you don't be giving the fingers to any Falkirk players because we'll ban you, Andrew.
That's a way to get yourselves a guaranteed 3 points. So find a way to get us all banned to the ground. The players, staff, just everybody.
But what's it, Andrew? We see Saturday. We always say best of luck, but we don't mean it. But listen, thanks for coming on once again, mate, and best luck for the rest of the season.
Pleasure to talk to you guys. All the best now.
Cheers, Andy.
This is Falkirk Daft.
So that is it for this week's edition of Falkirk Daft. Thank you very much for listening. Before we go though, we need to tell you about our merch. Yes, you can own Falkirk Daft merch these days. And we have got a new design coming to our merch store really, really soon. So if you're looking for Christmas presents, we've also got a discount coming up this week as well on it. We'll let you know on our social media channels about that. But you can have all sorts of things, Ross. You can have hoodies, you can have t-shirts.
Yep, there's mugs, there's water bottles, there's baby stuff as well.
It's cute. You can dress your little baby in a Falkirk Daft onesie. That would be nice. We don't do adult sizes if that's your thing. But yeah, we've got all sorts of Falkirk Daft merch, and you can hit us up and check out all the merch yourself. Merch yourself. Easy for me to say. shop.spreadshirt.co.uk/Falkirk-daft. That's shop.spreadshirt.co.uk Falkirk/Falkirk-daft. Listen, just check out the links in the bio here or below to get your Falkirk Daft merch. And like I say, we're going to be putting our Highlander design on for your pleasure very soon. In fact, this week, so you can have that as well. So like I say, t-shirts, hoodies, the full shebang. You can run about the stadium with the cool merch going, look at me, I'm got something different from everyone else, and I'm like really cool, and listen to the podcast. So yeah, please do that. I'd love to see you in that sort of stuff around the Falkirk Stadium if you can. But we did a competition on our social media channels to win some coasters, I believe, Ross. What else were we giving away in a mug?
So there was 2 mugs. One was white and navy, the other one was white and red, and we also had a set of 4 coasters as well.
There you go. So then you can see you've got the coasters. You can have your cup of tea. You with your Falkirk Daft mug, you'll look the business, you take it into your work. Look at me, I'm listening to Falkirk Daft, I'm Falkirk Daft. It all kind of works out, really, doesn't it? So yeah. So then, right, let's do the draw. So we're going to do this. So heads is Twitter, tails Facebook.
So heads for Facebook, tails for Twitter. So I'll let you call it just now, John. It's tails.
So it's Facebook.
12s was Twitter, so we'll
go
to
Twitter. Okay,
so what I need you to do, John, is I'm going to get everyone up who's shared it on Twitter.
Yeah.
What I need you to do is get the random generator.
Oh, we're going back to the random number generator. Let's see if Ukrainian
68 people.
Right, 68 people retweeted this, so we'll then we'll generate the number, then we'll count down to see who actually won it. Right, let's go to random number generator once more. This is becoming a staple of the podcast, and 68 people retweeted this, so we'll type in 68. There's also still the sign for Meet Girls from Ukraine. I'll maybe get into that a bit later on. But let's start the number generator, and Ross, you can tell me when to stop.
Okay, I'll look away so it's fair as well. Stop.
17. So you've only got to count down 17 of the retweets.
Here we go. So
find out who won the merch. Get your merch now. shop.spreadshirt.co.uk/Falkirk-daft. You can be the envy of all your friends while Ross counts this up. We should really start wearing it on the podcast as well. We actually need to buy the merch ourselves if we want to have it as well. So
we do. That's right. Oh, right. We have a winner.
Yes, we have a winner.
It is Jack Stewart.
Jack Stewart, congratulations. You are now the proud owner of Falkirk coasters and Falkirk mugs. Look for your DMs and we'll get all your details, Jack, and we'll get that sorted out for you this week. So well done. And like I say, if you want to get the merch, check out the links below. Right, that's it for Falkirk Daft for this week. Thank you very much for listening. It's on to Airdrie now, back to the league action. Ross, we're hopeful of ending this hoodoo against Airdrie and pumping them on Saturday.
Very much so. It is a hoodoo as well. We do need to get this monkey off our back. So I think Airdrie will come quite confident looking at that run of games. As Andrew just said, they've got 4 games unbeaten, not including obviously that Dundee game, but 4 games in the league's a decent run, and I don't think we've put that run together yet. So 4 wins on the bounce. So it's going to be a tight game, but I'm confident in us. I think as Andrew said, if they concede, they're struggling, and I do think we'll score. I really do. So hopefully that just points to a big Bairns win.
What team do you think he's going to put out? I mean, obviously, I think there'll be changes from Saturday there. Do you think he sticks with Burrell because he got his goal? Does Morrison come back in? Does Hetherington stay in the middle of the park?
it's a few tough calls, to be honest with you, John. It's obviously a different type of game. Airdrie will come out, so I don't think they'll sit in like Dunfermline and Edinburgh did.
Yeah.
So I think they'll come out and attack. So it might be a game for someone like Lawal, maybe Williamson back in at full back as well. It's a big pitch at our place, and I think we'll try and stretch them.
Yeah, be interested to see what changes he makes, but we'll be in Alex as ever before the game. If you want to get involved in the chat, by the way, we've got a Discord channel, a lot of chat going on there about the games, podcast, all that sort of stuff. The links are below. You can obviously follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Falkirk Daft. Make sure you subscribe, rate and review the podcast. We really appreciate that. And you can check out our lovely mugs on YouTube as well, or you can see the visual version of this. So that is it for this week's Falkirk Daft. Thank you very, very much for listening as always. Get in touch if you want to sponsor us. Throw a couple of quid our way, that would be great. It will stop my wife moaning for a start. I'll be able to buy the children some Falkirk Daft merch for the Christmas as well. So yeah, do that please. falkirkdaft@gmail.com if you fancy sponsoring us. falkirkdaftpod@gmail.com. That's it for this week's Falkirk Daft. Ross, what do we say?
Expect the unexpected, buddy, as always.
Damn right.